throwing shit at the pilot. Niggas be broken, be sobbing, but still talking shit like they violent. Niggas is broke.
So we all know by now about Kevin Durant's recent injury, but in case you didn't know, against the Warriors a couple days ago, Zaza fell on Kevin Durant and he got a grade 2 MCL sprain and a bone bruise. Now first of all, I just want to say that even though I've made a lot of videos shitting on Kevin Durant, I never wish for a guy to get injured. Kevin Durant is an amazing player and an amazing person, and I hope he gets better, but now the question arises, what does this injury mean for the Golden State Warriors? Well, first of all, let's look at the severity of the injury. Kevin Durant right now is out indefinitely and will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. So that's at least till the beginning of April that Kevin Durant will be out for the Warriors. At least. It can be longer than that, and especially for a player and a team like the Warriors, I wouldn't be surprised if they take the cautious route and sit him out all the way till the last week of the season. As we saw when Curry got injured in the first round last year, yes, he had that crazy game against Portland, but for the rest of the playoffs, he looked sluggish. I don't think the Warriors want to repeat that with Kevin Durant. Now, is that enough time for the Warriors to be bumped out of the first seed? I honestly think it's a possibility, especially since the second seed is the San Antonio Spurs. However, I don't think it's a high possibility though. With 22 games left, let's say the Warriors go 14-8 with a record of 64-18 at the end of the season. The Spurs would still need to go 19-5 to tie the Warriors, and I expect the Warriors to definitely be better than 14-8. But if there's a team that could get really hot going into the playoffs, it definitely is the San Antonio Spurs. And speaking of the Spurs, what about the playoffs? Are the Warriors more vulnerable now with the injury of Kevin Durant? On paper, they look more vulnerable with the uncertainty of Kevin Durant, but low-key, I definitely don't want to say this because I don't want to wish an injury on anyone, but KD's injury may just be a blessing in disguise for the Warriors. Now hear me out. I understand that this injury is a big blow to the Warriors as a team. There was already enough load on their stars with the bench being depleted with KD's addition, and now that's going to get worse. But there is something to be said about players stepping up and its impact on the team moving forward. This may be an opportunity for guys like Draymond, Klay, and Steph to get some momentum going into the playoffs, and let me tell you, the deadliest thing in sports is momentum. And going into the playoffs with it with some of the streakiest and dominant players in history with Klay and Steph, obviously when they're hot, and then you add Kevin Durant back in is something to be scared of. Imagine an on-fire Steph Curry, an on-fire Klay Thompson, and then you add Kevin Durant on top of that. That is honestly scary, but that is just potential. There is definitely more cons than pros. The whole point of getting Kevin Durant was to bolster their already legendary starting lineup, at least stat-wise, with an MVP in his prime, but at the expense of the bench. Now with KD being out, you have a depleted bench and you don't have Durant. Like, that is rough. In the playoffs, would a Durant-less Warriors or a Warriors team with a not fully healthy KD make it out of the West? Honestly, I'm not too sure. It really does depend on how KD bounces back from this injury. If it's not going to affect him that much, then no, I still think they're going to be the surefire favorite to come out of the West. But a Warriors without Kevin Durant is a whole nother story. Without KD, I honestly feel like the Clips can take on the Warriors. They would have a better starting lineup and a deeper bench, and the Clippers bench is really not even that good, so that's saying a lot. Add the fact that they have a front court of Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, they would destroy Golden State inside. Because I feel like people really underestimate KD's defense, and the fact that he can defend like a traditional power forward and is the leading shot blocker for their team, and then you add his ability to defend out in the perimeter, it's definitely a big part in why they have one of the best defenses in the league. So if the Clips can give the Warriors a problem, just imagine what the Spurs would do. With the Rockets, I'd honestly still take a KD-less Warriors than the Rockets, just because I feel like the Rockets depend so much on what Harden does that teams can definitely game plan for it in the playoffs, especially a team like the Warriors with their coaching staff. But again, this is a KD-less Warriors. If the Warriors can even get 70% of what KD was producing before he got injured, they'd still be the far favorite, which is what I expect. Now the big question, what about if they face the Cleveland Cavaliers? I'm sorry, they're not beating the Cavs without Durant. Simple as that. We're talking about the defending champions that has already beaten you and just added 2 starter quality players on their bench. The whole point of signing KD was to beat the Cavs, and with a depleted bench and without the guy you gave up so much to sign, no way you're beating the defending champs now. With a 70% Kevin Durant, I'd still honestly take the Cavs just because of the fact that they've shown that they can beat a Warriors with a 100% Durant without their mid-season acquisitions. But with a fully healthy Kevin Durant, the two teams as a whole are so equal I can't even choose. And that's why I'm really pissed off about this injury. It's because if the Warriors and the Cavs do face in the finals once again, and the Cavs win again, there will be those who will say that the Cavs only won because Durant wasn't at 100%, and I hate that. Like last year, I do firmly believe that if Draymond wasn't suspended and if Bogut didn't get injured, the Warriors would be sitting here as the reigning back-to-back champions. But at the same time, I really don't want to take away from what the Cavs did to come back from a 3-1 deficit. Like, they had 3 elimination games in a row, 2 on the road with their backs against the wall, and won the series. I just don't want there to be excuses this year from both sides. If the Cavs lose, there will be people saying that, oh, they didn't have a healthy JR and a healthy Kevin Love. If the Warriors lose, there will be people saying KD wasn't 100%, and that's definitely a valid reason. But going into the season, it was expected that once the finals came, both teams would be fully healthy and there would be no excuses. But this injury changed that. But with that being said, I hope KD comes back 100% sooner rather than later, and I am out. Peace.